Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the Gypsy Moto Show. Tonight's show is brought to you by Loud American in Sturgis and Evo Industries. So one of our great sponsors, they've been a sponsor for a long time, is Loud American in Sturgis. If you haven't been there, you definitely need to stop by. They have probably some of the best steak tips that you're ever going to have in your life. You've probably been there, huh, Chip?
I have. Before I even moved here, when I'd come into Sturgis for rally, I went there one time and I heard about steak tips, ate them, and fell in love. Every time I go to Sturgis, just stop in there and get steak tips.
They're pretty good, for sure.
They're real good.
You know, and they've been our sponsors for many, many years, and they're always there. And, you know, anytime we have an idea, they're usually willing to back it up. Like we used to do like our beginning of the year parties there. We'd have a video from all the things that had happened the year before. And we actually sold these videos and had a video company come and make them. And we'd always do the premiere that night. And usually in about, say May-ish, something like that. And they were always all about it, and it was a lot of fun. So anyway, they've been sponsors for 20 some years and continue to do it, and we sure do like them. So
they're good. I mean, if you come to rally, man, they always have every night good bands there during rally.
Right.
Really good bands.
Right. Yeah. Everything about the place is quality. So, and it's got the right atmosphere too. It just
sure does.
You know, if you're a motorcycle person, that's your place. Other sponsor we want to make sure everybody knows about tonight is Evo Industries, and Jeremy Creedy is the owner of Evo Industries Pennsylvania. Their suspension, motor work, basically anything you want to do to hop up your bike, they're your people. And they've sponsored our club and our club members for many years now. And you have Evo suspension, right?
Yeah, I do. On my Cowie. Yeah, I love it. And what's so cool about them is, you know, I don't know much about adjustments and, you know, all this stuff. You call them and they're immediately right there with you, helping you out and giving you settings, and they're a really good company to work with for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about Jeremy is you'll get the guy. That's the thing. If you want to talk to the guy, he's got a whole bunch of people working for him. They're a big company. They do all kinds of suspensions. They always have their team set up that they sponsor at Loretta's. Pretty much all the amateur national things, and you know they're a big deal. But yet you still get to talk to the Mitch Payton guy of that company, which doesn't happen in most places. And you can go through it. And the thing is Jeremy's a writer as well, so you know you can talk to Jeremy about here's what's happening, here's what I did, and he'll tell you try this, try this, try this. And the thing about Jeremy is if you don't like it, you could send it back forever. It's not at no charge, and he will fix it if it's something that you don't like. And you know, just keep getting it tweaked till you love it. I've never had to do that, but that's always his offer. All the things that I've had him do are just so far above. Like I said, that's why I still ride Suzuki's. You know, I ride I think my oldest bike is probably 10 years old, and that's actually my favorite bike. And every time I get on a new bike, it's like, wow, this thing's a dog, and it rides like a lumber wagon. And that's just because all the things that he's done for my bike in terms of, you know, engine mods and suspension mods. And so I know it's made me a way better rider. And if you need some suspension work, look up Evo Industries, and they'll get you going in the right direction. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. I want to do a shout out to Johnny Wilhite. Johnny Wilhite commented on our last show, and what I'm trying to say to everybody is we want you to comment, like, and share. It helps the algorithm. Plus also, you know, we know what you guys are liking and what you're not liking and what directions we're going to go. Now, that's not to say that when I look at the analytics, there was tons of people watching and the retention was there. We had most of the people were watching all the way through to the end. So the analytics are good. Got a lot of people watching, but we want to hear from you guys. So whatever you got to say, we want to hear it. So give us a shout out this time, guys. So shout out to Johnny Wilhite. So, hey, dude, Look forward to meeting you one day. Um, Other than that, I guess, what were your thoughts on the Indy Supercross? I bet you got a lot of
The
them.
Indies. I like the Triple Crown format. I do like that. It's exciting. Everything moves really, really quick. But I mean, the bad part is if your favorite racer gets a bad start, it's a little harder to make up time in a short moto. But it was exciting, really exciting. The big topic seems like all week has been about lappers, and I guess on a lot of the really rutted tracks, it becomes really one line, or how hard it is to try to change direction when it's really ruddy and you're trying to, you know, avoid some ruts and hit other ruts.
Right.
But man, that Vince Freezy guy, man, it's like, how long can he keep riding like that and get away with it? I mean, he was blocking Tomac so bad. It's like, dude, get out of the way.
And you don't cross jump a quad. I mean, it's like,
No.
well, you don't cross jump anything, but you definitely don't cross jump a quad. And I'm with you. It's like, and I've asked this before, but does he know somebody at Feld, or what is the deal? It's like, how is he still there? And there seems like there's never any discipline whatsoever. So I don't know. I just keep asking, is there somebody at Feld, or how is he always there?
But Tomac kept it classy, though. I mean, thank God. I mean, if I was on that podium like that, I'd be like, Vince Freezy's an idiot.
Right.
I'd be calling him out. But Tomac was really, professional about it. He's truly a professional, but in every sense. But yeah, man, I just don't. Only thing I can think of is maybe, the promoters like it because, they've got a villain out there, and it. In some ways, it makes the racing closer. It makes it more dangerous, but
Right.
it makes it closer in some, I don't know, aspects. But that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, what if you had a baseball player that every time someone got up to bat, the pitcher threw it at the guy's head every single time?
Totally.
Pretty soon they'd be like, all right, we got to call this guy out.
And if somebody, I never went back to double check this, but Tomac was saying something about 7 seconds slower a lap. And if that's really
Wow.
true, if they've got people out there that are 7 seconds a lap slower, and I don't know if that was Vince or not, but it kind of looked like that's who he was alluding to. Man, you got to do something, because that's not even in the same class.
Hey,
Yeah,
if
that'd
he
be
needs to
bad if
come
it was
to-
on a motocross track.
Yeah, if he needs to come to my school on being the slow guy on the track and how to move over, I could show him. I could show him in a couple laps. I could show him how to move over and get out of the fast guy's way.
Vince,
That's my specialty.
it's a simple
but-
thing, Vince.
Yeah. Listen. Just follow me. Follow my lines. That's what I tell him. Follow my lines. All right. I'm going to move way over when Brett comes flying by. That's what I'm going to do. All right. That's what you need to do when Eli comes by.
Yeah, well, you were talking about Eli keeping it classy, and when you were saying that, I was just thinking, yeah, he's really lucky it wasn't Reed or it wasn't McGrath, because those guys would not have any, or Carmichael. They would have had no problem, just telling Vince what a pile he was. It's just like,
Oh yeah. Well,
so
remember back in the day when Villapoto and Dungy were racing J-Law?
yeah,
Remember that? And J-Law would always be just messing with Dungy. Well, he did it with Villapoto in an outdoor one time, and I remember they came together and they were like going at it, like fighting. And I was like, well, there you go.
right, yeah, and Villapoto, that's a serious dude right there. You know what I mean? He's like Eli Tomac-esque in terms of, hey, it's all business when it comes to the racetrack. That he's the guy. So it's like, all right, this is fight mode. It's not a game. This is all business, and you get in my way, we're going to be.
You know what's weird though with some of these racers, and you don't know these guys. You just think you do because you watch them on TV every once a week and you follow them for years. But I was always a big Villapoto fan because I've always been a Cowie guy for the most part, and he was of course a champion. And I he was hurt one year, and I ran into him in the paddock in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And I had my daughter with me, and she was just a kid, and she rode a Cowie, and she wanted to get his autograph, and he was just walking by with a friend. He wasn't racing or anything. I was like, "Hey Ryan, can I, get a picture with my dog?" He's like, "No, I gotta get going. I don't have time."
Wow.
And from then I rooted against him. Every time he'd cry, I'd be like, "Yeah, Philippa," you know.
Yep.
And isn't it weird though? Maybe he was having a bad night, but you put these people on a pedestal.
Yeah.
They're regular people, and you forget about it because they're so talented on motorcycles. But and then I've run into other racers, and they were just like I said. I met Ricky Carmichael at his last race in Orlando, his last super. Coolest guy I ever met. I mean, just super down to earth, took lots of pictures, I mean, really, really neat guy. But I don't know if I've told you this story, but a friend of a friend had gotten us tickets to go into the Suzuki factory hauler,
Okay.
with Alden Baker.
Oh, wow.
The trainer to the starters. So we go in, and they take us in. Inside that was Ricky Carmichael, Stefan Everts, and Roger DeCoster at the time.
Wow.
I was like, this is like royalty, man. This is motocross royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timing was just perfect. But
did you get to talk to them at all, or they just saw them?
Well, Roger and Stefan were doing their thing, and I didn't want to go over there and be like, "Hey, can I get that picture?" But Ricky was really cool. Really
That's
cool
awesome.
guy. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, the three really, iconic greats right there. That's all in one place. Should have bought a lottery ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lucky to get one number on lottery ticket.
It's that thing where they always say you don't want to meet your heroes, and so every once in a while that's true. I remember one time the Dallas Cowboys. This is going to date me, but the Dallas Cowboys all came to town. This is when I lived in Wyoming, and they are all going to meet everybody at the Elks Club, and so everybody went down to see them, and Tony Dorsett was there, and he was a big running back at the time, and went in to get his autograph, and he's like, "Man, why do we got to be doing this?" He was just complaining the whole time. "Man, I don't have time. When are we going to be flying out?" And it was just like, it just made it completely clear he hated to be there, and it was like, that was kind of one of those moments in my life when of course I was young, but you're like, wow, you guys idiot, so.
It was funny that same night we were walking through the paddock, and all of a sudden I look up and there's Vanilla Ice,
Right.
What is his name? Robbie Van Winkle or something like that?
I don't know.
But anyway, so my buddy goes over. He's got his little kids with him, and he's like, "Hey man, Vanilla Ice, can we get?" And my daughter looked up at me. She was real little, and she goes, "Who's that, Dad?" And I said, "Oh, he was a rapper on MTV,
Right.
And she goes, "What's MTV?" Because I never, we wouldn't let her watch it when she was. And Vanilla Ice looks over and he goes, "Good parents." He goes, "I don't let my kids watch MTV either." Right. I was like, "Man, that's pretty cool." But he was a really cool guy too. And he was supposedly a really good racer.
Yeah, he still races. I've often thought
does he?
It'd be really fun to ride with him just to see, because you always hear how good he was and how good he is still. And he has that real estate show where he fixes houses up and stuff now. And looking at him, he's still pretty good shape. Looks like somebody that's kept himself in good shape. So I can only imagine that he's quite an athlete. He seems like a fun guy to ride with and just hang out with after you either practiced or rode or something. So
maybe that's something we could do at the club, is maybe do like a legends type race for like ex-pros or celebrities or something like that. See if we can invite them and get them to show up here for during rally.
I'd love it. Now, that's something we've talked about, and I think we're finally getting to a point where we might be able to make that a reality. And Tammy knows a bunch of them, and so we're going to lean hard on her. Hopefully we can get that done, because that would be such a awesome deal at the racetrack. Just kind of what we're about. And to have those people come to the rally, it's kind of where we like to see the rally going. Because we've always, since we started the rally, it's always been about racing. And that's something.
Yeah.
And that's something for a lot of you. A lot of you may not know this, but the Jack Pine Gypsies Motorcycle Club, we are the founders of the Sturgis Rally. So we started it in 1936, and that's something that a lot of people don't know. So that's who you're you're talking to or listening to right now is the people that started the rally, and we've been doing it ever since. Um, so
We're actually one of the oldest clubs in the country, right? Or the oldest.
we are not the oldest club in the country, but we are the oldest continually active club in the country. So there's nobody that's continued straight through as long as we have, and there's nobody that's put on, near as many like national events as we have for that long. So consequently, we're the only motorcycle club that's in the AMA Hall of Fame. So if you look up in, the AMA Hall of Fame, you'll see individuals, but then the only motorcycle club you're going to find in there is the Jack Pine Gypsies. So when you're a Jack Pine Gypsy member, a full vested voting member, you're actually part of the AMA Hall of Fame. So that's kind of a cool thing for our club. And that's other thing that, if some of you are listening, that's one thing about this club is it's not just some people that showed up here lately. We've been doing this a long time, and if you're part of this club, you're a lifer, and that's kind of what we're about is, motorcycle racing and the progression of the sport kind of a thing, and bringing up that next generation.
Well, what's kind of funny is, I'll tell people that, I belong to Jack Pine Gypsies Motorcycle Club, and they're like, oh, is it like a biker club? Kind of like, and I said, no, we're like a racing club.
Right.
That's sportsman's club.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I get that too. Like some of the guys I ski with, I've known them for a long time, but I've known them, in the ski side of things. They've never had anything to do with motorcycle racing. And that's a question I get from them every once in a while. Is like, so, is that a 1%er club, or is that like the Banditos or something? I was like, no, we're nothing like that. We're a racing club, and that's strictly what we do. Is we race motorcycles. That's what we've been about. And that's kind of where motorcycle clubs started, is they were racing clubs. And there's a handful of old clubs that have been out there for years that are AMA racing clubs. There's not too many that are as old as us. So, yeah. Anyway, that's...
So you didn't get beat in when you came into the club?
No, we didn't have to have any of those. Our initiation is, let's see how hard you can work. That's really what it comes down to.
No gun running, no.
Yeah, that's the one thing about our club is like, we're going to find out if your heart's in the right place and if you're there for the love of the sport. And that's pretty much what the initiation is. For sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. But, getting back to the race, that was kind of the thing that I thought was the big takeaway there, was you got to get a good start, which we know. And, man, the lappers are an issue. And those two things are something that, of course, we always know we got to get good starts in any race, but that kind of compounds it if you get a bad start and then you got lappers and you're trying to get around them, and so it doesn't necessarily mean the fastest guy is going to win that race. And
True.
And then going to the lapper thing, I feel like I know everybody's talked about this all week long, but I do think something has got to happen there. When we talked about it a couple shows ago, and then this is just proof again that there's an issue. When the lappers don't know that somebody's coming up on them, and I understand the whole excuse about the ruts and that kind of a thing, but we didn't used to have that problem, and we still had rutty tracks. It seemed like there was more respect for the blue flag, and I don't know what it is, but we're going to have to come up with something. And without rambling on, one of the things I heard, and I first read it and I thought, that's a stupid idea, but the more I looked at it, it's like, this guy commented, he said, once you get lapped, you got to pull off the track. And it was like,
I saw that.
Did you see that?
That's a terrible idea. Remember the time, I think it was a mud race, Ricky Carmichael lapped everyone?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he'd be out there finishing the race by himself. If
that's true.
If
that's true.
Track, you'd have one guy race, or even if it was a regular race and you had three really fast guys, you might only have three guys racing.
True enough.
That's no fun.
True enough. Yeah.
It's a part of racing, no matter what, but they need to respect the blue flag. I mean, stuff happens, you might have, didn't hear the guy coming up, or you didn't see whatever it is. But when it's the same person every single time, that's when it's a problem.
That's
and
when
it needs to be enforced.
That's, and what was so crazy is, these guys are all superhuman. Even the guys that are privateers getting lapped, they're superhuman. And I think it's got to be that thing where they're not used to being passed. So, they don't have that awareness or something of people coming up on them. Because otherwise, how do you not know that you're in the way?
So you don't think that fence freezies used to be passed?
Well, yeah.
Man, come on.
That's a whole nother thing. Like Seth, going back to that, I was talking with Seth about that earlier. I guess it was yesterday. And he's like,
explain to everybody who Seth is.
Seth is my son, and Seth was one of what we call the fastest generation in South Dakota. And most of those guys they're into their 30s now, or late 20s or mid 30s, maybe a few of them getting into their 40s. Those guys are still just fast, and we had so many fast people in that generation. When we had races, you just never knew who was going to win. And those races battled clear to the end. And anyway, Seth is my son, and loved motocross, still loves motocross, and anyway, that's who we're talking about. So anyway, Seth was saying this to me. He's like, why doesn't somebody like Vince just go chase the fair races? He'd probably make way more money. Then also, or else why doesn't he race the professional arena cross racing? I mean, that'd be more his style, and he'd probably win. I don't know that for sure, but
he's a good starter. I mean, he's a great starter usually.
Great starter. He doesn't mind bumping, doesn't mind just being down and dirty. And I mean, it'd be a whole great thing for arena cross, and it'd be a whole great thing for supercross. Everybody'd be happy, I think. But anyway, that was Seth's comment, and I was like, yeah, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
So maybe we should try to start some kind of petition to get Vince convinced to go to arena cross or something. I
don't know, man. I mean, you would think that a guy like that, he's been racing forever, and he is a talented guy. Not saying he's not. He's very talented, but it's like this. I mean, he's got to know what he's doing.
Has to.
You know what I mean? He's got to know it. So it's like, at what point does the AMA, start finding it?
I just
find his team.
I feel like I've been saying this I feel like I've been saying it for 10 years. I might be wrong, but I think I've been saying this for 10 years. I don't know. I just sit there and I watch, and my jaw drops open sometimes when I'm watching. It's just like, how is he still here doing the same thing he's done his entire career?
I mean, not moving over is one thing, but cross jumping that's dangerous.
That's just something you don't do. Yeah, I mean, it's...
And speaking of dangerous, did you see the Roxon Plessinger crash?
Wow, that was...
Dude, that was gnarly.
Yeah, and again, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll kind of hold my tongue on that one. But yeah, that was one of those things that you're like, we could have really lost somebody. That,
yeah.
A couple people, really, for that matter. So yeah, it's super exciting. But man, I think we're just seeing things that we haven't seen before. And I've heard all the arguments for it about the bikes getting faster, or quads were something that we never used to have, and just one thing after another, and that's probably true. But I did hear some things about people saying, well, we should just, limit them to 350s and things like that. Man, I sure hate to see that happen. I think there's things that we can do in terms of, just policies that everybody has to follow, and then maybe track design type things. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Did you hear Ricky talking about when he designed Daytona, the track there?
I heard a little bit about it. What'd you have in mind?
He was saying this year, to make the racing better, he took out a lot of the rhythm sections and stuff like that. Didn't make it so jumpy.
Okay.
And it really did race really well.
That was fun.
So I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. Because I mean, really, the most dangerous part of a race is either the whoops or the jumps.
It's true. And honestly, I love Supercross now, but I question whether it's, now, depends race to race, but as a typical race goes, I question if it's as racy as it was many years ago. When the tracks were all kind of more like hybrid tracks before we really figured out all the geometry to Supercross. Now it's gotten to where the top guys get that rhythm down and they just hit their marks every single time and they're all there. But they're on an entirely different class than the next group of people. And, I think those hybrid tracks that are like a Daytona type track actually end up being more racy and they're more fun to watch. And
so
that
you think
that might be a bias on my part because I'm an outdoor guy, but anyway.
Well, you being a dirt guy, you know how to build tracks. I mean, could you do an outdoor track in a stadium? Basically an outdoor style track?
I mean, you definitely could. The Supercross people don't like it, I can tell you that, but all of our original Supercross tracks, like in the LA Coliseum and stuff, when they used to race up through the arches and up the grandstands and all that, those truly were more outdoor type tracks, and that's kind of what I was thinking when I was calling it a hybrid, because that's more along the lines of what we see at Daytona. And I think you could. Now, on those smaller football stadiums, that might be a problem. And I know they're doing what they can do and they're doing what people want to see, but also you can't have half the class out when outdoor season comes around either, just because that's not a sustainable thing. And also I think we get to the point where we're only watching four guys race. So we watch four guys race, and then we go back into the pack and we watch, people race for 10th place, and that's all fine and everything. But, I think we've become accustomed to it, but it's not really racing. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, those guys are racing, but it's not that thing where you have six people. And I think the outdoor type tracks, and guys, don't hate me for this, because you Supercross people that can ride it and do well at it, you guys amaze me. So not picking on that at all. It's
Nerves of steel.
Just something I wonder about, kind of to answer your question. Yeah, I think you could. So.
Well, I know with me, this is just me personally speaking from my point of view, is I want a good race. I don't care about the guy just jumped 40 feet in the air and he landed. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, incredible skill. But I want to race.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't care if it's a sausage dog race. I want to see a close race. I want to watch them race.
Yeah.
So the tracks don't mean as much to me as the racing does.
Yeah, totally.
If I wanted to go watch a bunch of, huge jumps and stuff, I just go to a freestyle event.
Right. Yep. Totally there. Yeah, when you go to race, you want to see some people battling, and you want to see that, the places changing hands, and people having to do line choice and that kind of thing. And granted, Supercross is what it is. There's certain things you're not going to change, but I do wonder if there aren't things that they could do to make it safer and make it more racy. And I think they're looking at those things, because every time we get to wondering things, it seems like they come up with something new. So I'm sure they got it figured out.
Well, how many times have you heard? I mean, you're talking anybody that lines up there's some of the best racers in the world. All right, there's no question about that. But you see some of the best guys in the world getting up on the podium going, "Yeah, it was really sketchy," and talking about how sketchy it is, and you're like, "Holy crap, it's sketchy for them."
Right.
What's it like for the guy that's finishing 23rd?
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you've ridden around some of those guys, or been up right close and watched them, and maybe ridden on the same track, and you went over that same feature, and it's just like, they're like, I can't even, they're not human, they're so good at it. And when those kinds of people say, hey, it was sketchy, I mean, yeah, there's something not right about that. And when you're starting to hear it a lot, then I don't know. And I don't think most of those guys are complainers. That's not one of the big things that you see with people that make it to that point in the sport. So I think there's a legitimate, hey, maybe we need to check this back out a little bit. So
I agree.
Yeah, so the next race, Birmingham, correct?
Right. We don't have a race this weekend. It's an off week. And then Birmingham, is that a East-West shootout? I think it is, isn't it?
East-West shootout, yep. So now now the 250 class is going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be
very interesting.
we're going to see just how fast Hayden really is, I think.
Well, we know he's fast. I mean, there's no getting around that.
We know he's fast, but I mean, I think this is going to. Here's what I personally think we're going to see is we're going to see that the West Coast is completely stacked compared to the East Coast. Now, I might be wrong. Cole Davies might come and just blow our mind because the kid is amazing. But I kind of feel like the West Coast is just faster. This will be a.
I don't know. I mean, you take the top 4 West and the top 4 East. I mean, East, you've got Shimoda, you've got Davies, you've got Hammaker, you got Brown.
Got some fast guys. I'm not arguing that. And it'll be interesting to find out. This is what to me is going to be fun, is to be able to put them all together and see what happens. And I'm just going off the tracks that we've seen and just kind of watching things. That's just my feeling, and I may completely be wrong about that. And that's what I'm excited to see. I mean, I love the 450s always, but with the East-West shootout, I'm excited to see really what do we have in that whole 250 class as a group.
Right. Right. Oh, we'll know in a couple weeks, won't we?
We will.
And then we'll get a little preview of Deegan and Jet going out of that outdoors.
Right.
I'm really excited, and Tomac.
Yeah, that's going to be this year. I'm really looking forward to the outdoor season. I am really.
So, do you think if Deegan shows up for the outdoors and he finishes 7th, do you think that's like? I mean, are you going to expect it? Go, he's a rookie. That's to be expected. But I mean, with all the fanfare and the hoopla and all that, the way they're talking and building it up, it's going to be him and Jet first and second.
To me, if he does a top 10, that's a win. With 42 other guys, if he gets a top 10 to his first race, I'm going to be totally impressed. And if you're not, you don't understand the difference between the two classes.
Yeah.
I think he's going to surprise us and even do better. I really do.
Yeah.
And the thing about him, if he gets a 10th or better, he's that guy that is kind of like giving Dumbo a feather. I used to always make the joke with Seth about that. Seth would come back, and when he was a kid, he'd be like, Dad, this, my tires didn't feel like they were sticking or whatever, and I would just kind of do that Days of Thunder thing to him. I was like, Seth, I put on some special tires. They're psyched. You're going to be able to stick. Just by telling him that, he'd go out and just rail stuff, and
you hadn't changed nothing.
Hadn't changed a thing, and I think about Deegan. He's kind of that kid that if he does well, his confidence is going to grow, and then it's just like explosive. It's going to be more and more and more, and as long as he can stay without having a crash, that's going to be the thing. If he can do it and not have a big crash, he's going to continue to grow and grow and grow exponentially, and I don't know how everybody's going to be able to deal with that. And, that's the other thing. He's the one guy that I think can get in Jet's head. You know what I mean? Jet is somebody that pretty much has his game down, but Deegan, because of how he's been raised and because of who he is, I think he can get in Jet's head, and we'll see. There's going to be so many interesting things to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. That's half the battle, though. If you think you can do it.
Yeah, it is.
I don't even think he thinks. He knows he can do it.
That's the thing about him. We've watched it this season too. We've all had our different thoughts and our ups and downs on him, but he's kind of gotten to the place with, regardless of how he is, you got to be a fan. You just have to be a fan. And
do you remember in the outdoors when Stewart first? I think they were on 125s at the time, and remember him and Chad Reed, there was a lot of bad blood. And I remember one race he passed Chad and then stopped, and I remember the announcers going, is there something wrong with his bike? He let Chad go by him so he could pass him again.
Right.
And I was like, man, that was a really boss move there.
Remember when Carmichael used to do that kind of thing? We don't see that ever anymore. But Carmichael used to do that same thing. pass somebody, and then stop, look back, pass somebody, let them pass them, then go back in, block past them, you get around them again, and then stop, look back.
Crazy.
Just get in people's head. We used to see, that's one thing, the guys have gotten way more business-like. We don't see that anymore because McGrath used to do that stuff. We used to see a lot of people do that. Now it's like they're way more, calculated and business-like. They just generally don't get that attitude, and even if they could, they don't, just because, the way they've been trained, I guess. I'm not sure. But.
Well, they're sponsors. I'm sure they have to,
Yeah, and you better not lose it because you were trying to, play the hot shot kind of a thing. It's like go out, win the races, and get the championships. So
absolutely.
So who are you thinking on this as far as the? Well, how about 250 class? You're good at that one. So what are you thinking on 250 class?
You mean for Birmingham
for Birmingham? Yeah,
Birmingham, man. A lot of it's going to have to do with the track. I mean, if they have some like gnarly whoops, I mean, we watched last week, how Davies went through the whoops, I mean, I saw a breakdown of the times throughout the track, and every lap, he was the fastest guy through the whoops, every single lap.
It was pretty darn impressive.
I mean, yeah. If it's something like that, I don't know, man. Deegan flies through the whoops, but Davies was on just a whole nother level. It didn't even look like he was going through whoops. It looked like he was going down a long straightaway.
He was impressive.
And I think he's got an axe to grind with, Deegan, because Deegan took him out in the finale last year, and he lost the championship. So
true.
I mean, you can't. It's hard to bet against Deegan because he's Deegan. He's going to go out and he's going to get a good start. And he's going to do all that. If I was going to bet, I'd say it's probably going to be Deegan. But if I was going to pick a top three, I'd probably say Deegan, Davies, and Hammaker would be my three.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good pick. And since you did it, I'm gonna pick first on the 450s. For sure, I'm going with Eli. I think he's gonna win it. I think that Hunter's going to come in second, and I'm going to go with Kenny for third. I'd love to see Webb up in there, but I feel like Webb kind of fell behind the curve a little bit, and that's not at all to say that he won't come back, because Webb's the guy that's you never count him out. I just don't see him beating those guys unless something happens different this week. So that's where I'm at.
See, once again, I got to see the track. If it's a fast track, I don't know if is it in a baseball stadium or is it in a football stadium? I don't know. I haven't checked, but
gotta look that up.
If it's a fast track, I'm going to give it to Tomac. But if it's just your standard Supercross track, man, Hunter's looking really good.
Guy's solid.
So I would probably go with Hunter, Eli, and Roxton would be mine. Just a little switch up from yours.
Yeah, and you're probably betting wise. I'm too much of a team player, so I got to go with my guy. But yeah.
Well, did you see the chatter from Prado and Hunter this past week? I guess Prado had kind of held up Hunter whenever Eli was in the lead.
I did,
and they were saying that it was team tactics and stuff like that. And I guess Hunter said, well, we might have to go to some team tactics then when my brother gets back.
Right.
And I was like, oh, wow. And he goes, because I'm sure that Jet would be glad to put some body English on him. And then Prado came back and said, I'll put some body Spanish on him or something like that. And I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. I heard that and I was like, that's something for him. Just because of who he is, it's too bad that he even spoke up on it. Just because he's been so good about not being that guy. And all truth be known and said, he and his brother were doing it already when they were racing together. Whether they want to admit it or not, there was times outdoors that he was basically blocking for his brother. Yeah, he wants to win every time, but that's happened every bit as much as Prado. Everybody, want to remind everybody about all the practices we're going to have this year. Again, we're planning on having practices once a week, and we'll give you the day that's going to be, and then once a month on the weekends. So we'll have at least 5 practices every month. And as soon as the weather gets ready to where we can do that, it's still not that way yet. But once that happens, we'll be getting that going, and we'll give everybody heads up on that. Also, I want to make sure everybody knows about our races. We are going to have ultimately 5 races that are double headers, so there will be 10 races altogether in the Gypsie Moto Border Wars series. We're going to be featuring Gillette, so the Powder Basin Motocross guys, we're going to be racing with them. We were going to have Matt Knight on tonight. Something came up. He'll be coming on with us later this week. But just to give everybody heads up, April 17th will be a practice day. And then April 18th is going to be the AMA District 30 Championship. And then April 19th is the AMA District Championship. Then again on May 15th, we're going to have practice at 12 to 3. Then we'll have the Loretta Lynn's area qualifier on May 16th, and then also on May 17th. We're going to have a race in July over at Powder Basin. They haven't fully locked in on this, but probably a practice on the 17th, and then have a race the 18th and 19th. And then we're going to have another race with them in June. June 5th will be a possible practice. June 6th will be a race. And then June 7th will be a race. And then we're going to have our AMA South Dakota State Championship and Gypsy Moto Border Wars Series Championship on August 2nd. And the day before that, August 1st, will be a practice day. So we've kind of been talking that over. We may switch that one as well and end up turning that into a 3-day format as well. So Friday practice, Saturday race, and Sunday race. So that's what we have so far this year for motocross races. All in all, 10 races and 5 practice days besides the other practice days. So that's kind of what we got going there.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Anything else you got tonight, Chip?
I do not, man. Just excited for everything, and can't wait for the weather to get straightened out so we can start doing a lot of riding.
We were getting close. Snowy night here in the Black Hills now, but yeah, we were there.
I looked at the extended forecasts, and like a week from now, I think it's supposed to be like here, and Custer is supposed to be in the high 60s.
Wow. Yeah, that's where we're getting into that time of the year, and so can't wait. And as soon as we can get things rolling, had some people reaching out on Facebook and that kind of thing, and wondering when we're gonna get practice rolling. As soon as we can, guys. I mean, honestly, this year's been pretty good. We probably could have had we known, but we winterized everything, put all the equipment in, and did not expect to have this kind of winter. But as soon as the track dries out enough that we can get things rolling, get everything. And we are working on that, just so you know. But as soon as we can get going, we're going to be going. We'll get everybody, give everybody heads up and get things rolling. So, all right, good night, guys.
Good night.